right? So you can see there is a, a visual univariate analysis of this age, and you can see the low, the highest age that was recorded is 80, but it had the least frequency, right? And the age that has the highest frequency was between 20 to 30. If you can see if you can just zoom on the visual, you can see that that's the age that has the highest frequency or the highest count. So that's the age that was, in plenty or something, right? So, and this visual, this was just a random data set that we're using, right? So the reason as to why I wanted us to use another data set was because this type of concept that we are working on may not fit on one data set, okay? So as we go forward, we might use different data sets. And so for now, we are going to use, another data set, okay? So I'm going to create a new notebook. So you can do that. So in this new notebook, we just do the same process again. So the first step is always importing the necessary libraries, right? So it's just like a process you have to follow, and you don't have to write the codes every time. You can just, because it's an inbuilt library, so you can just copy and just paste the codes over there to import the necessary libraries, right? But on our previous class, we had the Titanic CSV file, right? But now, since we want to do those three types of analysis, we are going to use another data set, okay? So you can call it loan, right? So you can call it loan. I think I uploaded it over here. So you can just check on Home tab. You can just click on Home tab if you want to see whether you have uploaded your data set. Is it data or loan? Yeah, let me just found out that I've not uploaded the data set yet. So, and this data set I've sent it through the WhatsApp, so you can just check it out. Just click on open it so that you can view the file. So if you want to upload a new data set, you click on, when you go to Home tab, you click on upload, and then you just click on upload. And yeah, you have the data set, right? So it's here. You can see it over here. A few seconds ago, I uploaded the data.csv, right? So now I'm just going to call that particular data, right? So we said if you want to, you know, show the head of the dataset, you just type loan.head. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just use the small letters. Okay. Don't know why I use the, the capital letters over here. So I've created a variable called loan. And so when you view that, our data set, you can see the head, which has, the head usually displays five records, or the first 5 rows of the data set. That is what the head usually and you can, inside the head on this bracket over here, this bracket is just for specifying the number of records you want. For example, if you say you put in 15, or let's say I put in 20 or 30 or 40, here maybe I'll put 10. You can just see what it does. So it's increases the number of records over there to 10, but for now I'll just leave it as 5. And this just for us to see the different records that we have, and also the different columns, right? And so because we had like a description of the different columns over here, sorry about that. Yes, Emmanuel, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Yes, Emmanuel, you can unmute and speak.
It's okay. Thank you very much, sir. I want to know. I did not, I
Yep.
logged out a little bit because of network problem. I would like to know when your data is not uploaded, if a particular data set is not uploaded on this interface now, what are the signs that you know
Yep.
that this particular data set is not uploaded? Then I would like you to please, as we have set up our codes up there from the first phase there, can you start afresh again from the
Yep.
second one so that I'll follow, because I lost a little bit, so that I'll be practicalizing as you are taking on the lecture, please.
All right. So let me just repeat what I've said, because that will bring more light to your question. So regarding so first of all, you have to do the same process, importing libraries, and then loading the dataset. So for you to know if your dataset is loaded or not, you just run this code, because you say, hey, pandas, go and read this type of CSV. Which CSV? Then you input the CSV in bracket, and you put it in parentheses. So this name here, data.csv, has to be the correct name of your CSV file. Because if this name is not the correct name, let's say I put here dataset, right? Dataset.csv. And I try to run this particular code, then you will see there is an error over here, file not found. So file not found error just means that the name here is not the correct name of your dataset, or you have not uploaded your CSV. So this is just what the error shows. So that's what you'll see. What I was explaining is just that basically. So this is just the process of knowing the flow of, how to view your dataset. Did that answer your question, Emmanuel? Hello? Did that answer your question, Emmanuel?
Yes, sir. You just answered it. Thank you.
Do you have any other question?
For now, no.
Anybody else with a question? Or you're saying maybe you should just get into this thing, right? Right. So before performing any data analysis, we have to identify the numerical and categorical variables, right? So if you want to maybe identify the numerical and categorical variables, what do you do? Variables. So if you want to identify them, you just do the name of your data set. So ours is loan.info, right? So the .info will help you or will show you the numerical and also the categorical data type. So you'll see the different particular columns and identify their data types, whether it's an integer, a float, or an object, right? So we discussed this earlier on the last class. So let's go straight to univariate analysis, right? You have a question? Yes, Emmanuel. You
It's
can
okay. Thank
unmute.
you. It's okay. Thank you very much, sir. I want to be following you as you are doing it, so that I'll be having a hands-on on the on the practical aspect of this Python and Jupyter analysis we are doing here. Now, this last phase you just completed now, mine came up with an error. And this is one aspect I would really like you to throw more light. When an error flags off, how can you now read the error message and identify where the gap is? I know there will be there won't be a uniform error, but for instance, there's an error now. I would have loved you to just identify, tell me this is the error message, this is where your problem is. Go back and do this, and it will come back as normal. Now my own just flagged me error, and I cannot have this same faith you have here now.
Yeah, what's the does the error says? What's the name of the error?
Attribute error. Data frame object has no attribute info.
Yeah, you can just see maybe that's the attribute error means you have not actually put in the correct function. I've just put in loan.info and then in bracket, right? So you can the attribute error mostly it's for, and these types of errors there is no you cannot maybe know all the errors. Even me, I don't know all the errors. An error might occur and then I might not know how to deal with that error. So you just go online and try to read more about the specific errors. And I think this is quite interesting because throughout this class, we are going to discuss how to write the code and not the errors. So that, I mean, I think I encourage you to maybe research more online, right? if you experience an error, you can go online and then try to paste that error over there and then try to see how to solve that error or something. But for this class, I think the errors that you are going to encounter, we are going to solve them, right? So just, or maybe I can, let me just try to share a specific, yeah, you can just unmute yourself and ask your question. So what I'll do, since you're also doing it simultaneously, what I'll do is that I'll be trying to copy the code and I'll be sharing on the chat, right? So for example, now I've shared the code for line number 8. So you can also view the code from there, right? Right. So as I was saying, the univariate analysis, now we want to start with univariate analysis of numerical column, right? So our first univariate analysis is going to be a histogram. So a histogram, we did it last time on the other data set. And basically, this is just a representation of numerical value, like a distribution. So we already imported the library matplotlib, which we called it as PLT. And now we want to visualize our specific dataset loan on the particular column, you know, we can do loan because we want to identify a numerical column, right? Loan amount term. So this is definitely a numerical column. So we're going to do an X label. And for the X label, we are going to do loan amount term. And for the Y label, we are going to do count, right? plt.y label. We are going to do the count. The count is just there to maybe show us how much the loan amount term was. Right? Yeah, so I'm just trying to run the code and then also put the code on the chart, right? So this is our first wallet analysis. So it's a distribution of loan amount term, and you can see the one that had the highest count was between 300 and 400. So you can see we have the highest count of the loan amount term. And you can also use for this is matplotlib, right? This is using matplotlib library, so you can also use Seaborn. We already imported Seaborn as SNS. So since it's a histogram, in Seaborn we say histplot, and then we put the name of our data, which is loan. And then here we just put the value for the x-axis. So we specify the x-axis as we want to see. On the x-axis, we want to see the loan amount term, right? Yeah, so in Seaborn, we just put the data and then the x-axis, right? So if you experience an error like this attribute error, right? So if you experience an attribute error like this saying sns.hisplot, so when we scroll down, you can see we have an empty rectangle and say, and it says rectangle sets got an unexpected keyword argument X, right? So this means maybe did it require a small X, or this was a so it required a small X. I put in the capital X, so it was an attribute error. So when plotting x-axis, you have to put the small x using Seaborn. So it's just basically the same plot. It's just that the first one uses a different library called matplotlib, and then the second one uses a library called Seaborn, right? Do you have any question about this? About our first visualization, our univariate analysis? Do we have any question? Yeah, sure. Hopefully you do, Emmanuel. Yeah, and if you're not currently with us on the same page, you can also go back to your learning platform, and you can find the previous recordings of our previous classes. We had used ourselves on how to start the process before we got here, right? Yeah, Isaac, you can unmute and ask. Isaac, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please, this code you are sending here, is it proper to just be copying and paste there since we want to meet up with what you are doing and as well try to type inside our own system too? So is it proper to just be copying and pasting into the code lines?
I mean, the thing is, I think Emmanuel brought an issue about some errors. So because you see, when you run some codes, you have to run them specifically the way they are. So I mean, it's just for maybe confirming, because what you're supposed to do is write the code, not just like the way I'm doing it over here, showing you how to write the code. So ideally, you're supposed to write the code on your Jupyter notebook as well, so that you can learn from that. That's why I'm also writing the code the way you can see on my screen. So I'm anticipating that you also do the same. And for the codes on the chat, those are just for confirming with you. So if you have any error with your coding, and then you can view the correct code on the chat, right? But don't worry too much, because we are also going to have assignments. So it's like an individual commitment. So you'll have to create time and do the assignments. So if you do the assignments, and then, yeah, without just copy pasting from AI. So it's because the people that copy code from AI and then think that they know how to write the code, but ideally you're supposed to write it yourself. Unless if you experience an issue, then you can try to debug that and Google on ways on how to to solve that problem. So that's the way I think we are supposed to do, right? Any other question? Right. So also, I think I'll be just inputting
Send and slow
assignments.
down a bit. The code you sent inside there does not look to be complete.
Is it the same code that you see on my screen?
The first one, the plt.y label brackets count, putting count. So do not close the bracket in the chat box here. Okay.
Yeah, you can just,
Okay, sir.
you can just put the brackets over there, right? Okay. Thank you for that. Right. So since we'll be using Seaborn and Matplotlib, I'll be doing one of the visuals from maybe either Seaborn or Matplotlib, and then I'll leave the other one for you to do at your own free time, right? So the first one was a histogram. Now we are going to something called box plots. And all these are just univariate analysis. So in a box plot, let me just illustrate what a box plot mean. So it's a summary of a variable. So what we view from a box plot is the minimum, first quartile, the median, and we also have the third, we usually have the third quartile. Yeah, and you can also see the maximum. So you can view all this from a box plot, right? So what I'll do the first one for matplotlib. So I'll just say plt box plot. And then the data. Sorry, I just inputted the data. It's supposed to be, sorry, loan. Yeah, sure. So our data set is called loan. We just named it loan. So in the loan data set, we want to visualize the applicant's income over here, the applicant income, right? So we want a box plot showing us the highest income, the minimum income, the median income, all that using a box plot, right? So don't worry about these types of thing, whiskers and all that. So what you see over here is a box plot. Okay. Let me just copy this code. Yeah, sure. So this is a box plot of, we are still on the univariate analysis of our data set. So this is a box plot of the applicant income. And deep so that we can understand what we say about by the minimum, the first quartile. So here, on our box plot, we can see that the highest value was 800,000. So this is the highest value, right? The maximum value. And if we say the minimum, we are meaning close to the bottom here, which is 0. So that's the minimum value. So the highest and minimum, we can see that from the box plot. And we can see a little box over here, which has a middle, a line, seems to be orange, or is it orange or yellow? So that yellow line, it's the median, right? It's called the median value, that yellow line. So, and the line on the bottom of the box plot over here, that's the first quartile. So we usually have Q3, Q2, and Q1. So Q3 is the third quartile. So the value here on top of the box plot over here, usually it's the Q3, the third quartile, and then the Q2 is just the median value, which is this yellow line. And then Q1 is the first quartile. So Q3 usually has like the 75% of the data set, Q2 50% because it's the median, Q1 25%. The minimum is 0 and the highest value here is 800,000. So I think that brings more light to the minimum, first quartile, median, and third quartile. Any question about the box plot? Any question? Yes, Emmanuel, you can unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for the lecture so far. I'm really interested in it. That is why if you see me asking a lot of questions. Now, I just allowed you to flow until this last phase you are now. Apart from the two first steps that I got it, because when you talk about when I told you of the error, that syntax error, I discovered the error here and I fixed it and it came up. After then, the variable analysis still flagged or a syntax error. The third one too is the syntax error. So I want to know what is really the syntax error, because everything from what you copied and pasted on the platform is exactly as what I've written here. And I don't know why it's still flagging the syntax error, syntax error.
Yeah, the syntax error usually is maybe you have not actually put in the correct, maybe it's something like a bracket you haven't put. So it's just the normal requirements that Python requires. So maybe there is a dot somewhere you did not put, or maybe um, like just maybe the a particular parenthesis that you put somewhere. So maybe could you let me just stop sharing and you can share your screen. Can you share screen?
No, I can't. I'm using my phone while I'm coding on my system. I didn't connect with my system.
Oh, okay, okay. So it could maybe help us to identify your issue if you did. Okay.
All right, before the class, I'll reconfigure it so that I'll share
Yeah.
my screen for you to see.
The syntax error is usually that for there is something you did not put is required, right? So that it's not like something complicated. It's just something on the or maybe a square bracket that you did not put somewhere. Just that. So we'll see about how to go about it if you share screen. So this is uh, a box plot using matplotlib. So assignment. So it's a box plot using Seaborn to show the minimum, the first quartile, median, and third quartile. Sorry, and maximum. Maximum. Basically, what you need to do here is just what we have done over here, but now we are not supposed to use this PLT. We're supposed to use Seaborn. Use
SN.
Seaborn, right? Yeah, you are supposed to do that using Seaborn, right? So this is not for I mean, it's a assignment, right? So we'll do it and you will submit your assignment the way you submitted earlier. So just after saving your file, you go to file and then you download as HTML. I think that's way works for me. So it will be of your benefit if you just upload your dataset and run all this code, trying to see how this analysis are done, and you'll send your file with me through the WhatsApp. I think that's fine. Right. And I would also like you, okay, let's go to, we have a question, or do you have a question? Need to go to, okay, let's go to, yes, Sophia, do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the class, sir. Please, I want to understand the difference between Seaborn and Matplotlib because it seems like they do the same thing. So why should I use Matplotlib or Seaborn? What's their difference since they basically do the same thing? And I don't understand this box plot though. The lines, I don't understand it. If you can just briefly recap, sir, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me just try to uh, share my screen about. Let me just browse it over here. Uh, a simple box plot, and usually on a data set, what you'll find is that particular box plot that you are seeing right now, the way that we have visualized it, right? So that's what we normally see on a data set. Okay. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, trying to explain this simplified box plot. This is just what we have on our visualization. Is just on a real data set, it's actually going to be small or maybe sometimes large, but this is what we have. So the maximum, as I was saying, is the highest value on the data set. Ours was 800,000. The upper quartile, you see, is the top of the box plot over here, the Q3. So here we can say the 75% of the data set lies here, or 75% of the values lies here. The median, ours was like a yellow line. So here the median, it's the middle value, more like a 50 percentile. So it's the middle value of the data set. The lower quartile over here, this is the where the 25% of the data set lies. So it's called the Q1. So it's it's usually in the form of Q1, Q2, Q3, and we have the maximum and the minimum value. So the minimum value, it's the least value in a particular data set. So it might be 0 or just the least value, right? So that's what these types of box plots illustrate. You can just click on another box plot and you can see. I mean, yeah, this brings more light. So we have this line over here, which this is just a horizontal way of displaying the box plot. So, but it's the same with the vertical one that we use. So the whisker, the line from the box plot to the minimum, or maybe the line from the upper quartile to the maximum. So these lines are called the whisker, right? And so the distance between the Q3, which is the 75% and the 25%. So the difference, that particular range is called the interquartile range, right? Yeah, so this is just different versions of the box plot. We can see this one has a scale which shows the numbers on how the box plot is. Yeah, so it's just the same thing. The upper quartile, the median, the lower quartile. The lines we said they are the whiskers. So
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
right. So maybe we'll find another data set that will output the box plot in a larger way. But for this particular data set, this is how it displays over here. So we also had to visualize univariate analysis. Sorry. So this is univariate analysis of categorical, right? Sorry. Categorical variables. So if you noticed, we had, for our first visualization, we had numerical variables, right? So now we are going to see how different categorical variables are visualized. And now we are going to use a count plot. Okay. Just similar to a histogram, but it represents the frequency distribution of a categorical variable. So if we say we use Seaborn, sorry, you just asked a question about difference in Seaborn and matplotlib. Matplotlib, right? So we can see here matplotlib is a library in Python that enables users to generate visualizations like histograms, scatter plots, bar charts, pie charts, and more. Seaborn is a visualization library that is built on top of matplotlib, right? So it provides data visualizations that are typically more aesthetic and statistically sophisticated, right? So if you are someone who wants to do maybe visualizations that require great detail, or maybe you are doing machine learning and you want to do visualizations that, you know, look like they want to become like 3D visualizations. So Seaborn can do that. So it has more features than matplotlib. Okay, matplotlib is just basically for visualizing basic visuals. I hope that answers your question, Sophia. So
Yes,
here,
sir. Thank you.
back to visualizing categorical variables. We are still on the univariate analysis, right? Back to visualizing categorical variables. We have just said the count plot is similar to a histogram, right? Yep. So here we can visualize a column that is categorical in our particular, for example, the gender. Yeah, the gender I think is a good example. So the gender, because we have different genders. So if we say gender, we're using Seaborn. So if we say gender, visualize that into a count plot. So you can see we have two different genders. We have male and female, and of course, on the y-axis you have the count. So in this our data set, male have the highest number, close to 500, but female just a little bit over 100 there. So you can see that. So this is just a way of presenting data more visually, so you can able to see from here how your data is biased, right? Biased as in you don't have, fair count of male and female. So we have a lot of male and a little female. So these are just insights to help you understand the categorical columns, right? Right. And this can also be done using matplotlib. So the idea is to help us to get these types of skills to be able to write the code on our own, right? So I said I'll be doing one. So, I've done using Seaborn, and now you are going to do using matplotlib. So create a bar graph, okay? Using matplotlib. And this, I know, because this you have to research on how to do it, but make sure you use the specific column that you are using. For example, here we're using gender, so I expect you to use the gender. So you're supposed to display these two particular, these two particular values are using matplotlib, right? To show, I think we have, sorry, to show the count of gender according to, sorry, the count of gender. That's okay. So just make sure that while you are doing that, you make sure that here shows the count, and also on the x-axis shows the gender. So you can say use gender variable. Okay. That's the assignment. I'll be sharing this as a HTML with you guys. You have a question, Emmanuel? Yes,
All right.
Emmanuel, you can.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just did the last one now and I got it right. The chart displayed. However, yours displayed
Yep.
differentiating the colors with with the sex. While mine have a uniform color with just blue or. So how come did yours have a different color with the female being brown, the male being blue? Why mine indicated blue or?
Oh, so yours just indicated all
Blue.
gender to be blue.
Can I come again with my question?
Oh, okay. Did you do the the count plot? Did you just copy the code and sent on the chat?
Yes, I'm writing it directly. I'm not just copying, I'm just writing it. As you are writing, I'm following you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So can I come
Maybe
again
could
with
you
my
just,
question?
I've just understood your question, but I'm still like wondering, I mean, how do these things work, you know? Uh, uh, so I thought
Mine
it was
has the
supposed to
same
be
color
similar.
as well.
Oh, okay, okay. That's interesting. Um, hmm. I also think that I'm running this particular, or maybe just let me
Hey,
run
bro,
it
so
a
wala.
second time to see how,
No, na
oh,
Chinyere.
wow.
Na Chinyere, bring that one. See us here.
Or maybe, I think maybe the difference could be also the versions, right? Maybe the versions of Python that we are using. So maybe you have updated yours, maybe I haven't, or maybe I have updated mine, and maybe you haven't updated your newest version of Python. So these types of things come into play as well. I'm not so sure about that. Um, but you can do the one for, while you are doing the one for matplotlib, uh, you can do the one for matplotlib, and then we'll see how uh, the visuals come into play, right? Yes, Emmanuel, you have a question?
Thank you, sir. Please, I also want to ask about the color. Does it mean if someone is writing an examination now and maybe the particular system which I used to write the exam shows different colors for the bars? So I hope it doesn't matter, the color doesn't matter unless it is stated in the instruction that we use to a different color for the chart.
Yeah, I think mostly what matters is the actual representation. So what matters is the actual display. So for example, your chart should display the correct count of male and also the correct count of female. If it does that, then it's okay. But if they specify, maybe put in a color for male as blue, or maybe put in a color for female as yellow or green. So if the instructions are specified, then uh, you'll have to put in the color, right? But if not, you can just display it as you have done on your end as well,
Is there now a
right?
way which we can use to differentiate the colors in case if the question should ask? And if it is given in the instruction
I'm
that
not
we
sure
should
if
differentiate the color of the bars,
yeah.
to analyze with different colors, sir.
Because it's you see, with this it's a specific column, right? So if I will say it's something like to do with the hue. Is it hue or something? Hue. I'm not so sure about this. I I mean the hue is used for the color, so it's kind of shows the scale. So it tells you like the male uh, is displayed in blue, and then the female is displayed in orange or something. But I'm not quite sure why this type of code is not running and generating the different outputs. Could you try this on your hand?
I have the same thing now, sir.
You have the same colors
I mean,
as
what
this
you
on
have
my
here.
screen,
I
or
have what you have, yes, sir.
so it's working fine now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Same as me too.
Okay, okay. Okay, yeah, I think it's just how to play around it and
Same
see
here,
how.
sir.
So please include this on your work. So I'll just put here, include here on your work, right? So just do a research on how to do this using matplotlib, and then you'll be good to go. Right. So after this, we are supposed to view, let's say like a pie chart. Let me just do the pie chart real quick. A pie chart. It's simply a circular graph, right? Circular graph. And it's divided into different slices. So it's all the pie charts adds up to 100% in the pie chart. So here we want to do a little pie chart of a particular column over here. So you have to see, you also have to see which particular column you want to use, right? Dependents. So who are these? The dependents. The dependents. Yeah, so I've identified a column here, the dependents, and we say that we want to count the dependents column. Dependents. So we want to count the dependents column, and we say dot values, then you put labels to be dependents dot index. So we want for the index, and you say, and these are just they're just basic syntax for writing a pie chart. So what I'm doing here is trying to the the basic syntax for writing a pie chart. These are not things that you can, I mean, you can just search online and then you can see the different basic syntax for writing a pie chart. So since we are using the PLT, so we say PLT.pie chart, the depends values, and then the levels, and then the things, the color. All right. So PLT.title. Now we can put a title and say we want the title to be dependence distribution, right? So we have a error, dependence have not correctly put in the correct name according to the data set. So you have to put in the key error is you haven't put in the correct of the particular column that you want to display from the long data set. So I've just put in the so another attribute error, value count, supposed to be value counts. Yeah, value counts in bracket. So attribute error is just for I think it's just the syntax for Python, right? So here what we are saying, we are creating a variable called dependence, and we say we want to visualize the dependence column from long data set, and then the value counts will just go to count all the values. For example, the values which have zeros, it will count them, and then that represents 57.4% of the data set. The value counts which are 3 and above represents, it will count them all, and then they represent 8.4% of that column. The value counts which has 1, after counting all of them, they represent 17% of the dependence distribution column, and the values for 2 also the same, right? So a pie chart is just representing parts of a whole. You cannot do a pie chart for very many numerical values. You can only do pie charts which are for values that can be counted, and then they can represent a whole column, right? So here we just want to move on to create a pie chart for gender, right? We have gender. So that's pretty easy because you have just two genders, which is male and female. Yeah, I just wanted to write with matplotlib, right? So this is a pie chart for the column dependence. And if you need to know the meaning of the column, for example, the column dependence, I think I'll have to put this So what I'm trying to do now is trying to put like a markdown on, let me just remove that. That's code, sorry. Insert cell above. So if you look at what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to insert the cell above, and the cell that I've inserted above, I'm putting it as a markdown. So here, what I want to do is to put the descriptions of different, of the columns, so that you can have a good idea of what the dependence column mean. So it's just the dependence of different people. So people who have 0 dependence have 57 are like, it's quite high, so more than half. So people who have 3 plus dependents are like 8.4%. So that's what this pie chart means, right? So you'll have your assignment over here. Now, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Yeah, Emmanuel, you have a question?
I want to thank you very much so far. So far, we've gone. I want to say you are a little bit fast lately.
Okay, okay,
You're a little bit
okay.
fast because if it is not able to pick up.
Right. You can also ask any questions if you feel like this. You don't understand what uh, this visualization shows. You can also ask your question. So what we have done here is a visualization of, it's a pie chart. So it shows the distribution of dependence. So dependence over here on this particular description is the number of dependents for the loan applicant, right? So those who are depending on the applicant, it has been into a pie chart. So those people who have 0 dependents are a little over 50%, because you can see it's 57%. So those who have high dependence are the lowest according to this pie chart. So maybe you could be asked, maybe you are, assume now you're working on a organization and want to know the people who apply for their loans. They want to know the dependence distribution, those who have high number of dependents. So what you're supposed to do is to create visualizations that you are actually going to present to different stakeholders. So one of the easy visualizations to do is like a pie chart, right? And you can try to explain to them right? So what I expect is to draw another pie chart here on line 21 about the gender, and yeah, just the gender only. Simple as that. So variance analysis, we said, is the analysis of two variables. Yeah, so it's only two variables. It was that's what it's called bivariate analysis, right? So with bivariate analysis, you will use other types of visualizations. You cannot use the, let's say, a pie chart to represent bioanalysis, right? So you have to use other types of visualizations. So you use something called a scatter plot, which uses dot notations to represent relationships. Okay. So here, we want to visualize a scatter plot using matplotlib. And using matplotlib, we just do the plt. So we call plt.scatter. Then we, in bracket, we say our data set, and then we identify the specific column, right? So we just use the column applicant income. So with the scatter plot, we have the values to be numerical values. So since I know numerical values in the data set, and you can also view, you'll also read the description to understand what each column has. So here we have the applicant income, right? And we are saying we want to visualize this against another variable. And in this case, we are using the same dataset loan, but now, so we are on bivariate analysis. We have to visualize two variables. So loan amount is also in it's numeric. So those are the two variables that we are visualizing. So the next line is putting the title, right? So the title, we say this is a scatter plot of applicant's income versus loan amount, right? And then we after putting the title, we also put the X label. So on the X axis, you want to see we want to see applicant income, right? And on the Y axis, we want to see, sorry, Y label. On the Y axis, we want to see the loan amounts. So we want to see how different applicants, how their income relates with the loan amount they are applying for, right? So we can see we have and there's someone who asked about errors, right? You can see we also have errors. So no one can write codes, all the codes perfectly. So we have another error here, says PLT Y label not defined. So I just forgot to put a full stop over here. And if I run the code again, the error is gone. Now, this is bivariate analysis, right? So what you are seeing on the x-axis is the applicant income, and on the y-axis the loan amount. So you can see that it's like of increasing, right? Because if you see, like, for example, if the applicant income is 10,000, we have, for example, a loan of, let's say, for example, we have an applicant income who earns like 500,000. So you can see the loan amount that he's given is high. So it's like increasing, right? So it depends with your income. So if you have a income, then your loan limit will be, or loan amount will be low. And it actually makes sense this way, right? And so if you can see, we have used something called, we have used matplotlib, right? And with matplotlib, you can see that actually the values on one side are quite concentrated. You are not able to see clearly because the values on one side are like concentrated near 1 and 2 and 3. So our assignment of this one is going to be create a scatter plot using, we want to see how seaborn is actually going to give us some of, let's say, we can say clear visualization than matplotlib, right? Here we want to get a seaborn scatter plot of just the same applicant's income and loan amount using seaborn. That's clear, right? So we are going to do an assignment for creating this, the same visualization using seaborn. Do we have any questions? Do we understand this relationship between two variables? Because on the x-axis we have a variable, and on the y we have also another different. And this is what we said is called bivariate analysis. Do you have questions related to this? Yep, I forgot to share this on the chat. If you have a question, you can just unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Want to know, from what you are doing so far, I can see it is case sensitive too. So I would like to know, in what area will you know that you are supposed to either capitalize or small letters? Because I can see it mixed up. At what point will you know that here you are supposed to either capitalize or here is just basically small letters? That is one area I want to be giving clarification, sir.
on the, you said on the when you are defining a variable, or could you maybe help me? Could you press the question for me?
Okay, I said
I'm
again that
thinking like, yeah.
I said I can understand it is case sensitive from what you are doing here so far. Some places you will start a word with a
Yeah,
capital
sure.
letter, and some places there are no capital letters observed and like that. So at what point will you know that here is just basically small letter, here you are supposed to space, here you are not supposed to space, and like that? That is what I want to know. Because from these errors that I'm having
Okay.
here, it boils back to that
Yeah.
little gaps, which I would like to work on later. But I just let me get that clarification as we are in the class now. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Let me just help you understand this. So, for example, here, when you're defining a variable in Python, it's usually case sensitive. So, for example, here I'm defining a variable dependence, and so if I call it again another line, a second line here, plt.py, and I say dependence, I have to put the correct name that I did here. For example, if I did a capital D to become dependence, then on the second line, I also have to put a capital D, because if I leave it as small d, then it will output an error saying this dependence dot values is not defined, right? So it's like a very sensitive to that. So you have to, when you are doing a variable, then you have to be very specific with you can also try to copy and paste it on the second line just to be sure. And also when you're trying to select a specific column, for example, here we want to select a column from loan, and we say, so on the loan column, on the loan data set, go to a specific column, and here we are defining a column using these square brackets. So we are defining a column, and we have to put in the correct name, dependence, with a capital D, which is, if you look clearly, is on our data set. So if you come here to dependence over here, you can see that the name has to be the correct name, right? So these are the things that you need to, first of all, understand and just try to follow, right? So these names in parentheses, they have to be the correct name shown on your data set. It's all these names on parentheses. If you see that, you have to put the correct name on the data set. If you mistake by saying here maybe X and put a small g, then it will not run correctly. And I mean, you can also try on end the codes that have run, for example, this for line 17. You can try on your end to delete the capital G, put the small g, and you'll see how the code behaves. I mean, that's how maybe you're also able to figure it out and learn fast, right? Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I'm also trying to put in assignments for these types of visualizations that we are having. So let me just go quickly to This that we have done here is bivariate analysis of numerical values, right? Numerical variables. Now we want to do bivariate analysis of categorical variables. And these are types of these are the reasons why I chose this particular data set, so that we can do all these types of analysis, right? So here, first we can do we can also do the count plot over here. Count plots using hue. We introduced hue earlier. I was supposed to introduce it over here, but it's okay. So the hue parameter, right? So again, we are going to use Seaborn. So we say sns.countplot, and in bracket we put our data set. So the x you put here has to be a small x, and then the hue we can do lone status, right? So we want to visualize these two particular columns using the Seaborn, right? So what we see here is the education level is a graduate, not a graduate, right? So on the hue on this particular axis, you can see that loan status is either yes or no. So for the highest one is for people who have graduated, have access to higher amounts of loan. They count 350 for yes, and also they have the highest denials according to the whole data set. So just close to 150 as compared to people who are not graduates, right? So this is how to visualize categorical variables. So for categorical variables, you can see you have all of the variables on the x-axis, right? So you have the education on the x-axis, and you also have the loan status on the x-axis. Just that the loan status now takes the form of a color, and then the graduate is then, you can also view it as a count, right? So it's kind of simple. It's just, we're just trying to do simple illustrations, right? Let me send this to the chat as well. You can unmute if you have a question. Maybe if you don't understand the chart, the graph as well, you can unmute yourself to ask your question. This is bivariate analysis of categorical variable. Categorical variable just means the these types of variable that have different categories, right? So someone is a graduate or not a graduate, that's a categorical variable. Loan status is either yes or no. That's a categorical variable, right? So for this type of assignment, you are supposed to do a visualization of gender and applicant's income, right? So here you're supposed to create, right? And here, you know, there are two, male or female. So what you'll do is just you just figure it out how to do this type of visual for gender and applicant income, right? Yeah, so for this, use Seaborn, right? Use Seaborn. Now, there create a box plot of self-employed and applicants' income, right? So this is also a visualization. This is a bivariate analysis. This is also a bivariate analysis because you're trying to visualize two different variables, right? Yeah, and so for the other thing, do you have any questions? Do we have any questions at this time? Any concerns before we just move to the last part, which is not quite hard. This is the simplest of all of them. So we have multivariate analysis, and we said over here, we're just trying to visualize the different, you know, the different variables. So it's more, you could say more than two variables. We'll say more than two because it's multi. So it can be 3, 4, 5, or many, right? So here normally what we do is that we use a pair plot. So a pair plot can be done using Seaborn. A pair plot of our dataset loan, and you can say the values equal to, you can put it into a list, right? No, let's say you can put it into a list and then say our loan, let's say the columns, we want to display the columns. Right? Right. So basically what we're doing here is trying to visualize multiple variables that we have on our data set. So in this way, you can analyze your numerical variables and categorical variables as well, right? Do we have any questions at this time? So you can see what actually it was doing is that it was trying to visualize all these variables, right? There are too many. So it kind of takes time to visualize them. So this is an example of multi-variable, right? This is just the visualization of different variables, really. In a, in very many visuals. So although the multivariate analysis is not commonly used in showing, in maybe when you're presenting, what you do is the bivariate and univariate, but you also are supposed to know the multivariate analysis of data, right? So we don't have much to do with the multivariates, right? But we also have the heat map for multivariate. We also have the heat map, which usually shows the relationship. So the heat map, what you do is you just say heat map, and then you put your name of your data set, and then you want to see the correlation, right? How different variables are correlated. And you put a notation to be equal to true. Okay. So the heat map is another version of multivariate analysis. With the heat map, what you see here is the correlation of a variable, really, right? For example, how does the applicant income correlate to the loan amount? So on our visual here, we might not be able to understand it clearly, but if you put it in a heat map, values, right? So the applicant heat income over here correlates with the loan over here at 0.57, which is a positive correlation. So correlation on this axis starts from 0 to 1. So if a relationship is going nearly to 0, it means that the correlation is weak. But if the values are going closer to 1, it means that the correlation is strong, right? So this example here shows that the applicant income is very significant in determining the loan amount. And you can see it here in red is 0.57, which means it's a positive correlation, right? But if you see something like credit history and the loan amount, so if you see here credit history and the loan amount, it has like a negative 0.00. So it's weak. It's a negative correlation, right? So these are types of analysis that you can draw from a heat map, which is also one form of multivariate analysis. Okay, analysis, right? So with this, we come to the end of our today's presentation. We come to the end of today's presentation, and I would also like us to, the last assignment is to create a pair plot using Seaborn of applicant income, gender, and education, right? So this is just for also multivariate analysis, okay? Do we have any questions at this time? We have looked at the different three types of analysis, and now we come to the final one, which is multivariate analysis. Using heat map. So what you see here, the SNS.heatmap, these are just the syntax for writing or for maybe displaying this type of visual over here. And I've tried to explain to us how the relationship works over here from 0 to 1. You can see the higher you go, the stronger the relationship becomes. The lower you go, the weaker the relationship becomes, right? Do you have any questions at this time? Yes, Emmanuel.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to know at this point that we are using our browser and we have many tabs. Like for me, I have like 4, 5 tabs with different programs that since we started, I've kept there just to see that I didn't miss out of any. If there's any problem, I can reference to anyone to take care of the problem. How are we going to save this entire program that we have arranged here in this our various classes? Because I have not been able to get a lot of things right, which I want to go and sit down, read the errors properly, then identify them, correct them, and prepare myself for subsequent class. Now, how am I going to save it such that it will not disappear when I come back tomorrow? When I shut down my system, I can be able to retrieve it tomorrow, rerun my data, then continue my assignments.
All right. So you see, with the what you have done here now, for example, here I will just click here and say workbook 2, right? Rename that to workbook 2. And then file, I will download as HTML. So this workbook, I'll send it to you guys through the WhatsApp just after this call. So if you want to save your work, you come here, you click there, then you save it the name you want, you click on rename. But just know with Anaconda, it's usually auto-saved, right? So the next time you want to open your page, first of all, you'll open this. When you open Anaconda, it will bring you here. It will here, and then you will have to search, right? You will have to search through these files of yours. So you'll just scroll down and search the particular files. You can see, for example, years ago, a year ago. Now, you're supposed to search until you get a file which says, maybe like this one, 7 days ago, right? And you remember the name that you saved it. So 7 days ago, I saved a file called workbook. And now I have saved a file called workbook 2. So the next time I'm opening Jupyter, it will bring me here. I'll just scroll down to search for workbook 2 over here and click on it, and then it will bring me to the workbook that I did, right? Does that answer your question?
You answered it, but as I said earlier, you are a little bit fast. Please, sir, can you just start? Am I going to click on file, right? The assignment you gave us, I know how to save it and I sent to you. Now, this one that I want to save, am I going to use the same process
Oh, okay.
or is it different?
Yeah, you're going to use the same process for sending me the work. So you're going to click on file, download as HTML, right?
Okay, okay, all right.
Did you get that?
Yes, I see it.
Right. Then I guess you're good to go. So I've included all the assignments in this file. You just go through it, and then and also I would like to remind you that next week when I look at the work, then you also have to. I'll also or I'll share your work on the screen, and you will have to explain to us what you understand the visualization that you just made, just the way I have tried to explain to you guys this visualization or this, right? So I expect you okay, not specifically to share your screen because you'll already have shared your work with me. Maybe you'll have to explain to us uh, the visualization of yours, right? Do you have any other question?
Excuse sir, I didn't hear you. My network was fluctuating, so I could not say. You said next week we are going to do what?
You are going to explain like an explanation of how you understand the visualization that you just made on the assignment, right?
Okay, okay.
It, it will be like let me just stop sharing. It will be like a presentation that you are going to do and trying to make us understand. For example, if we are people who um, are not familiar with Python codes, so you will want to explain to us your visualization and how you understand it, right? So that's what we are going to do next week, right? But tomorrow, since we have completed the univariate analysis, we are going to do something else. Okay? Good.
Okay, sir. Today's assignment, when are we submitting? Tomorrow or next week?
So today's assignment, we are supposed to submit next week before this session. Before this session. So before next week on Friday, I'm supposed to have viewed all the submissions. Did you get that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. With that, I would like to say thanks and bye for now. Let's see each other tomorrow, 3 p.m. West African time as well.
So Sophia, I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate your support throughout the disturbance I was disturbing you on and on. I really appreciate you. Thank you very, very much.
You're very much welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. I think you
We'll
still
see
have a
tomorrow.
question. You can ask him on the group.
I'll ask him. For now, I just want to go and see how I will configure. I'll try to put up my WhatsApp on the system. It's a new one, so I've not really configured all those stuff. So I want to see
Oh,
how I'll
okay.
do that so that during the presentation, I should be able to share my screen because I have a lot of questions. A lot of things are not playing out the way his own is doing. So I really don't want to be disrupting the class with my own
Okay.
personal problems like that. So maybe when I do that this today, by hopefully tomorrow or next week, I should be able to come up with something that maybe it might be another person's challenge too, so he will help us out.
Okay, that's fine then. It didn't even give us attendance.
They didn't give us attendance, so this
We
our
are we
stuff.
are
They
we
need to
are
give
few, sure.
attendance. So. Yes, just 3 persons. That's all.
Yes, he
It's all
knows
right.
our name, so I guess that's all. Okay, no problem. Till tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.